Welcome to the Skull King Football Podcast, presented by Fox DFS Firelines. Now, here are your hosts, Justin and Ryan Skullrood.
Hello and welcome back to the Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Justin. I have my brother Ryan here with us. We're going to be doing a mock draft today. I know that a lot of you guys have already done a draft, but for those of you who are still looking for a little bit of draft advice, I'm of the opinion you can't get enough drafts. I've been in plenty myself. And so we're going to cover a little bit of news, a little bit of our top questions of the week coming in through the website, and then we'll get into our PPR mock draft. First bit of news that we want to cover is probably the top piece of news that's been on everybody's minds is the Teddy Bridgewater injury. A lot of people are believing that he's not only there's no question he's done for this season, but whether or not he can make a recovery enough to make an impact or to even be able to get onto the field in the 2017 season is in danger. Ryan, tell me a little bit of what you think that does to the Minnesota Vikings fantasy draft stock as a whole on offense.
Well, to start off with, seeing, again, I kind of describing to you what actually happened to his knee and how that could happen on a non-contact injury. A non-contact, it just boggles my mind where his femur basically comes off the joint and protrudes forward past his past his two lower bones. It just it makes me sick. Dislocated knee and completely torn through ACL. That's just in terms of how it's going to affect guys, it depends on who they get to be their starting quarterback. They've got Shaun Hill as their backup right now, who could be okay for a few games. I don't see him as a 16-game starter. A lot of people don't see him as a 16-game starter. If they were to get someone, maybe pick up a Mark Sanchez, that could work for him. It would be the same sort of system that Denver was running. Give the ball to Adrian Peterson, let him ground and pound. It might actually benefit Peterson more because Sanchez is kind of a under the center type of quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater likes being back in the shotgun. Peterson likes that I formation, get as close to the line as possible. He doesn't like being too far back from the line. So I can see if they were to go somewhere, get someone like Sanchez, that could be really good for him. I don't see them keeping Shaun Hill as their starter for the entire season.
Yeah, Shaun Hill's anyway. He's not even the quarterback of the future. So a very, very temporary fix. Depending on how the season goes, they may look at somebody in the draft. But tell me a little bit. I mean, I am extremely hesitant. I like Bridgewater as an individual. I did not like him as my fantasy quarterback, and so I was hesitant to touch any wide receiver from Minnesota, including Stephon Diggs. I will not draft Stephon Diggs now just because I saw firsthand what Shaun Hill was doing last year against the Seahawks. His arm was horrible. Although he did beat the Seahawks, it wasn't the arm. It was definitely the running game and Seattle's inefficiencies on offense at that point in the season. So I'm not, in terms of effect because of the injury, I'm not drafting anyone other than running back or defense from Minnesota personally.
Yeah, I mean, AP, here's the deal with AP. He could go either way. I've heard some analysts say that this could make him a little more boom or bust because they're more people are more likely to focus, teams are more likely to focus on stopping him in the run game.
Yeah.
Which means that he will get more touches, which also could mean he could wear out a little bit faster, especially with his age. Yeah.
I have seen Jerick McKinnon's draft stock skyrocket over the last 48 hours.
Yeah, Jerick McKinnon's stock is going to go up. Again, the wide receivers at this point are, just leave them alone.
Yeah.
You watch them on the waivers. I'd start them all on the waivers just so you kind of see what's going on over there. But AP Honestly, I'd leave him right where he is in terms of drafting. Let me see where we've got him on our projections. We have him as the number 2 in standard leagues. So, he's still projected at this point for 300 rush attempts, 1,300 yards, 10 TDs, 31 receptions, 227 receiving yards. So, I mean, he's still projected for a very good season. So I don't have a problem, keeping him at the number 2 spot. I would be, again, PPR. I'm still not going to go that direction.
Yeah.
But in a standard league, I have no problem, still drafting Adrian Peterson there. So
yeah, that's the notable news that we will cover right now. One of the questions that kind of our top questions of the week. This one I've already sent a response back to the individual. This question comes in from a Lindsay Vickerman. She has a 10-team PPR. She needs to pick one keeper. She has Adrian Peterson in the first round, DeAndre Hopkins in the third, or Thomas Rawls in the 7th. Who do you believe she should keep?
Was it 7th or 17th?
17th.
There we go. Yeah,
I don't know how many drafts have that many picks other than a dynasty league, but
well, a lot of deep keeper leagues will go that deep. We kind of talked about this before the show. It's a PPR league, so I'm not taking AP in the first. I'd rather have Hopkins for that 3rd pick in the 3rd round.
yeah.
So
he's going a lot. He's going in the first round in every draft I've been a part of. So
and again, we don't have a whole lot of information. How long can she keep these players? And who's going to be re-entering? Because can't be kept anymore. So I mean, on what limited information I have with a PPR league, I am fine to go ahead and go with Hopkins just because of the talent there. It's PPR. He's going to get a lot of receptions, a lot of yards. He's the main number 1 there. Thomas Rawls is excellent value in the 17th.
Yes. Excellent value. I have him as kind of my kind of hot take or whatever you want to call it, is my running back bust of this year, just for the sole fact that I've seen, regardless of what reports are saying right now of Thomas Rawls being the number 1 lead back in Seattle, I see a lot more Kristen Michael being involved than as them being more of a 1-2 punch more than last year being either all Marshawn Lynch or then all Thomas Rawls when Marshawn got injured. And so as much as I love that value in the 17th round, you're not going to find anyone that good, that deep. But DeAndre Hopkins in the 3rd provides you with better value just because of those 3. That's the best spot.
Yeah, and again, we're still not sure. Rawls still hasn't played a single down.
Nope.
He may play in the Thursday night game just to kind of see where he's at.
But don't expect I've heard a lot of reports, don't expect him to even touch the ball. Pete Carroll has done this with Marshawn Lynch in the past where they kind of do these shadow games where they put him out there. They kind of do a rollout on the side just to do a check down or something. He draws the attention, and they'll go to somebody else. Yeah. They really don't want to get him any sort of violent hit to risk any sort of injury before everything starts to be official. So I know you had a couple of questions come in through Twitter and the website as well. Why don't you hit us with those?
So here's our main one. I'm just going to do the one. It's our tweet of the week, and it comes from at K Gomez 83. I know I'm a friend of Kareem, so I'm sure he'll be happy to hear this on the podcast. Here we go. He asked, in a 12-team redraft league, would you take as a late round flyer Tajay Sharp or Michael Thomas? And I've already responded back, but just for the listeners, my opinion right now is to take Tajay Sharp simply because he is the number 1 pass option in his offense. Now I'm not projecting him to go for 1,000 yards and 7, 8 TDs. I still think he's going to be more that because of how much they want to pound the ball, He will probably be close to like 600-700 yards. Maybe I think he maybe have a ceiling of about 800 yards and 6 or 7 TDs.
Yeah, and remind everybody what offense that is.
That's the ground and pound, or it's in Tennessee.
No, it's Tennessee. I'm of the complete opposite opinion. For me, the number one receiver there is Delaney Walker. It is not that receiver. And so to me, with the running back and them being dedicated to the run, them doing a little bit more read option, they're not being a standout wide receiver, and Delaney Walker being the number one pass option, I would rather take the other option from the Saints in an offense that is predicated on the pass. Although Mark Ingram should have a big year, I believe more in the Saints offense than I do the Titans offense. Therefore, I'm going the other route.
Okay, well, let's even look at it this way. If Delaney Walker is the number one passing option in Tennessee, Tajay Sharp becomes the number 2.
Yep.
Now let's look at the Saints offense. The number 1 passing option is Brooks. The number two passing option is Snead. The number 3 passing option is Kobe Fleener. The number 4 passing option,
Mark Ingram.
Then the number 5 passing option might be Michael Thomas if it's not C.J. Spiller, who is now showing to be healthy, and they're using him in the preseason in that passing back role. So again, if you're looking at depth, I'm not taking away from Michael Thomas's ability. I'm just looking at the options. Yes, they're a high flying offense, and he could prove Thomas could prove himself and move up the depth chart there. But without an injury right now, I'd rather have Tajay Sharp.
Okay.
What's a little bit?
Yeah. So we will get on into our mock draft. This is a one quarterback. This standard PPR, so 1 point per reception. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex, 6 on the bench, obviously a kicker and a defense as well. And so before we get too far into this, one piece of draft advice that I could give out there is a lot of us like to be over-prepared within our drafts. We have our sheets, our draft guides, our cheat sheets, our strategies, all this kind of stuff. One thing to remember is with all of your study, you're still not the smartest person in the room. So one, don't get cocky, and don't overthink everything. You've done your prep, stick to it. Don't get cute and try to all of a sudden outsmart everything you've already done, thinking that you're the smartest person in the room.
Yeah, I like that. I only do 1 live draft a year where it's a bunch of guys in a room all drafting with the draft board. Most of mine are online because I'm playing with guys that are all over the country. But in the 1 live draft we had with my buddies from work, we had that a few nights ago. You have to stick if you're going to go a certain direction with your draft. A lot of people stay flexible. So for me, I created a flexible plan that was still rigidly, this is the direction I'm going.
With your 0 draft running back?
No. It wasn't, and I started out wide receiver, but still, because it was only a 10-man league, went running back after that, just because of the, decent depth. So for me, while a lot of people say, you want to, a lot of guys advocate for drafting quarterbacks late. I'm one of those guys. Drafting tight ends late. I'm one of those guys as well, unless great value drops to you. And in my case, in that league, the value didn't drop to me on those positions. So I drafted my quarterback and my tight end in rounds number 11 and 12, and drafted 5 wide receivers and 5 running backs in the first 10 rounds. So, I wanted to target the wide receivers heavy because it's PPR early, and then take the value and the guys that I had on my list. Not the guys that, I think, could have fallen to me. I only took the guys on my list. In this league, Frank Gore and Matt Jones went undrafted in a 10-team league.
I believe as they should.
Yeah. So they're draftable as 10th, 11th rounders in an 8 to 10 team league, but
maybe in a 12 or 14 team they get picked up, but
yeah. So that's kind of the way I look at it is I set up my own. You can call it a rigid plan. You can call it a whatever you want. I try to stick to the wide receivers early and, find the value in the running backs, take the guys that I'm looking at, no one else. So,
yeah. And so we will get into our draft. I clicked, we are doing our draft on fantasypros.com through their draft wizard. And so we have started. We are pick 7. We wanted to do something that was more in the middle. Number 1, obviously Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, AJ Green, Todd Gurley, and David Johnson have all come before us. I think I know where we're going to go with this. At this point, because of PPR, I really like DeAndre Hopkins just because he is a reception magnet. Tell me what you're thinking. I know you're probably going to want to go wide receiver, but tell me what you're thinking at this point for this pick.
Well, Hopkins is a great pick. I wonder about A-Rob. How far down is Allen Robinson ranked on that list?
On our list,
on our list, he's right behind.
He's right behind.
Those guys are 5 and 6.
Yeah, that's the same on the Fantasy Pros website.
So, they're both. They're on our projections. Between the two of them, Hopkins is projected for more catches. He's projected for 92. And Robinson for only 79. I can like I was talking about Blake Bortles moving down a little bit, regressing negatively in terms of what he's going to be able to do this year because the run game improving, the game flow is probably going to be better because the defenses. So in that case, I would go with DeAndre Hopkins over Robinson.
Our pick being DeAndre Hopkins. Allen Robinson goes right after as the 8th pick. Number 9, Adrian Peterson. Gronk goes with the number 10 pick. Lamar Miller, 11. Ezekiel Elliott, 12. On the way back, we have Devonta Freeman, Dez Bryant, Amari Cooper, Le'Veon Bell, and Keenan Allen, who I really like just because I had him last year and his ability to just catch every short pass and just grab you probably more points on the catches than on the yards.
Yeah.
But there is a wide receiver that I really, really like right now as well in Brandon Marshall. I think in most live leagues he wouldn't be available at this point, but we are doing a computer draft. And so I like going with Brandon Marshall right here just to take a look at the available wide receivers. Brandon Marshall is the top with Mike Evans, Jordy Nelson, and Alshon Jeffrey behind. I really like Brandon Marshall's ability to expound on his connections with Fitzpatrick from last year. I believe that there will be more and more chemistry this year. Brandon Marshall was really in the corner of Fitzpatrick during the whole offseason debacle of his contract. And Brandon Marshall has also wagered his car. So if there's anybody motivated right now, it would be Brandon Marshall. I think I would like to go that route personally.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. Marshall has missed the last few days of practice because of a hip injury. Did not play in the last preseason. Doesn't look like he's going to be playing. He missed the 3rd preseason game and Monday's practice due to the injury. The coach is kind of downplaying it, just saying that he's been sore. He is 32 years old, so that's I'm good either way. I would personally prefer Evans. I've already taken in my other league I took AJ Green and Evans as my first 2 picks. Evans is by far the number 1 in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But I could.
Okay. I like Evans too. I think I like Brandon Marshall as well. Evans may have a great comeback year from last year with only having, I believe, 3 touchdowns.
I think it was only 2.
It was a horrible year in the touchdown category, but with the Tampa Bay offense much improved, I have no problem taking Mike Evans, and we will just click draft.
All right.
For Mike Evans. On the way back, right after Jamal Charles, Brandon Marshall, right after Alshon Jeffrey, Jordy Nelson, Mark Ingram, Brandon Cooks, Jordan Reed, LaShawn McCoy, Demaryius Thomas, Sammy Watkins, Eddie Lacy, T.Y. Hilton. And so we have our two starting wide receivers, with the flex option. Are we looking, from your perspective, do we grab another wide receiver to fill that flex option? Do we look at running backs now with the running backs available? Those available are Latavius Murray, Doug Martin, C.J. Anderson, Carlos Hyde. I personally wouldn't mind going C.J. Anderson if we're going to grab a running back. A lot of people are projecting a big year from him on the way back. Plus, with having a basic rookie, for lack of a better term, at the quarterback position, they're going to be doing more running. And there were reports that C.J. Anderson had an injury last year that led to a lot of his hiccups in the beginning, and why he came on so strong in the playoffs, actual NFL playoffs, not necessarily fantasy playoffs last year. Tell me who you're thinking. Wide receiver, running back, what do you think?
Well, I'm okay with a couple of those options. I like the opportunity for Latavius Murray. I like the opportunity for C.J. Anderson. Did you say Carlos Hyde in there?
Carlos Hyde has been injured.
Carlos Hyde here's the deal. Carlos Hyde is a guy I am avoiding in every draft.
I don't want to touch him.
Another one of those guys that, because of playing in San Francisco, everyone's, I have a buddy that says that he thinks that, San Francisco's offense is going to be a lot better than everyone thinks. I heard a great stat today on, I want to say it was the CBS podcast, just to give credit where credit's due, that was it 14 of the 14 teams that San Francisco is going to be playing this year, of those games, I think it's 10 of the games that they're playing, their opponent played the Philadelphia Eagles last year and knows exactly what Chip Kelly likes to do. So unless Chip Kelly is making major changes to the offense, everyone already knows what he's doing anyways.
Yeah.
So, and then also, not that, Philadelphia was extremely talented, but there's a major talent drop-off in the offense for San Francisco. So, I can see their offense really struggling. So, and the injury concern, I avoid Carlos Hyde. So, with Latavius Murray, C.J. Anderson is probably the top two running backs for me at this point.
Wide receivers available, Jarvis Landry, Randall Cobb, Julian Edelman, Jeremy Maclin, just to name a few.
Okay. Jeremy Maclin, I'm okay with, maybe in the next round.
Yeah.
I really I'm a big fan of Jarvis Landry. PPR leagues, the guy catches the ball all the stinking time. He is the safety blanket for Ryan Tannehill. Devontae Parker has not shown much at all, and his draft stock is falling through the roof. In two wide receiver sets, he's not on the field. It is Kenny Stills. So Kenny Stills is rising up there a little bit. I like Jarvis Landry, and I am fine to use him as a flex.
Yeah.
For kind of reference, maybe go down just a little bit farther on the running back list, and who do you think might be available in the next round?
Those available in the next round, I believe.
Right after Carlos Hyde, move down there.
You're going to have Matt Forte, Danny Woodhead, DeMarco Murray, Thomas Rawls, Gio Bernard.
Okay, I like DeMarco. I like Gio. I know everyone's kind of hesitant on Rawls. I like Woodhead, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
But I think I would rather have Bernard or DeMarco at that point.
Okay. Let's just go with Jarvis Landry. I like having receivers.
They're all high. They're going to be high catch receivers.
Yeah, they're all volume receivers. So we will click on that one. Jamal Charles goes right after. Oh wait, sorry, that was the previous round.
I was about to say.
That was a previous round. Doug Martin, Julian Edelman, Randall Cobb, Danny Woodhead goes. Golden Tate, Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton, Latavius Murray, Greg Olson, and C.J. Anderson right before us. Yeah, and so the running backs available that we would entertain the thought of would be Matt Forte, DeMarco Murray, Thomas Rawls, Giovanni Bernard. Going back to our rankings, we have Thomas Rawls being the highest of those, according to our projections on Skull King. Tell me what you're thinking. Once again, listed a few of these off the last round, and you liked a few of these. Where are you thinking about going with the first running back we take?
I like Gio. I like DeMarco. DeMarco's been running angry in games, but so is Henry. They're set out to be a pretty good run game in Tennessee. The problem is that I don't know how their game script is going to play. Just their defense, how much are they going to be able to just dedicate completely to the run game if their defense isn't necessarily going to be able to stop everyone? So,
yeah.
Forte, I'm avoiding. I like Bilal Powell better. I think Forte, with his age and going to a new team, is not necessarily the best way to go. So we had Forte. I mean, I'm okay because of the PPR value to go Giovanni Bernard.
I'm hesitant to go there just because I think I'm jaded from last year in Gio burning me in one of my leagues. I think the running backs are going to be more involved because of the absence of receivers leaving Cincinnati. I still am a little hesitant on Gio and would be more comfortable with Thomas, even though I have him as kind of my biggest bust.
Rawls.
I still just don't like – yeah, Thomas Rawls. I still just am a little hesitant on Bernard. I'd prefer DeMarco Murray, but once again, if we do that, I would very much like to handcuff him with Henry.
Well, and we could do the same thing with Thomas Rawls and Christine Michael. So I'll let you know. I took the three wide receivers, and we'll go with you the running back you want.
I'm going to go with DeMarco Murray. They have fully committed to the run. Seattle's going to do a little bit more of the passing game. Even though they're just hyper efficient with it, I do believe that there's going to be a little bit more mix and less of a run-first offense. I like taking DeMarco in a run-first offense.
Go for it.
We'll take DeMarco Murray. Once again, I would really like to handcuff him if we can.
We'll kind of watch that down the road.
Yeah, those that went after DeMarco Murray: Jeremy Maclin, Kelvin Benjamin, Gio Bernard, Thomas Rawls, Dante Moncrief in the fourth round, Carlos Hyde, Matt Forte, Colby Fleener, Andrew Luck, Ryan Matthews, Travis Kelce, and Marvin Jones. There were not a lot of running backs taken.
And Marvin Jones really flying up the lists.
Yes, he is. I got him in one of my leagues. I got him in the 9th round, which I thought was a steal, and I really could have taken him in the 7th.
I thought it was a steal, and I got him in the 10-man league.
And so, do we want to fill out our roster with another running back? Do we want to look at receivers? With the value of running backs right now, we're looking at Duke Johnson, Jeremy Hill, Jeremy Langford, Jonathan Stewart, Melvin Gordon, Arian Foster are kind of the running backs right now. And then overall, the wide receivers of Eric Decker, Doug Baldwin, Larry Fitzgerald, Jordan Matthews, Michael Floyd, Manuel Sanders.
Well, I'm fine. Let's go back to give me the top 3 or 4 running backs that you got there.
We have Duke Johnson, Jeremy Hill, Jeremy Langford, Jonathan Stewart.
Well, Duke Johnson I was kind of high on until kind of seeing how RG3's kind of throwing the ball really well. I think Duke Johnson does better if McCown's the quarterback, simply because McCown's willing to check down to the running backs while
RG3 checks down to his tight end.
Down to the tight end. and his run style sets up the read option with Isaiah Crowell a lot better. If we go to on who is the next one after Duke Johnson?
Jeremy Hill, once again, kind of a split role. Jeremy Hill is not one that's really going to be a PPR value, in my opinion, at the spot.
No, but again, I saw a great thing from Matthew Berry that Jeremy Hill, since he's entered the league, has more touchdowns than anyone else, than any other running back.
That's enough for me to take him right now.
So, I mean, his touchdown upside is awesome. I'm okay to take Jeremy Hill there. I don't like Arian Foster yet. I don't like drafting him as one of our starting running backs. So, I mean, I'm fine with, honestly, Duke Johnson or Jeremy Hill. I'd probably go with Jeremy Hill with the guys we have. So.
Okay, we'll go with Jeremy Hill as it loads in here.
And I have things against Jeremy Langford that everyone's, there are a lot of people high on him because of the opportunity. I'm not sold yet. So
people, in my opinion, with Jeremy Langford, remember those two really, really nice games and forget the rest of the season.
Well, they remember the fact that he scored. He scored, what was it, 3 touchdowns in 3 weeks or something like that. However, I mean, he was the only option because Matt Forte was gone. Alshon Jeffrey was out 2 of those games, so there was no one else. So if there are other options, they're probably going to go other options. So again, I don't like his yards per carry. Their offense has just looked horrible. So I'm avoiding the Chicago offense.
Okay, so after Jeremy Hill went to Lenny Walker, Eric Decker, Tyler Lockett, Zach Ertz, Doug Baldwin, Jordan Matthews, Duke Johnson, Jeremy Langford, Larry Fitzgerald, and Michael Floyd. And so you and I both believe it's still too early to begin looking at tight ends. And then
well, it depends on the value. I mean, there really hasn't been a whole lot of value in tight end. How many tight ends have gone? Probably five or six now.
Of the tight ends, we have 7. We have 1 through 6, and number 8 have already gone. So we've had 7 tight ends. So in a 12-team, most everybody has a tight end. With Gary Barnage, Julius Thomas, Antonio Gates, and Tyler Eifert are the top 4 available. You and I both like Gates this year, but with the wide receivers available, we have Emmanuel Sanders, John Brown, Michael Crabtree, and Alan Hearns.
Of those 4, the ones I like the most are Crabtree and Hearns.
Yeah.
I'd probably prefer Crabtree, not because I don't believe in Hearns, but it's more of a, Crabtree has proven that he can get the job done. He actually scored more fantasy points than Amari Cooper last year, and at this value, I'm fine to take someone like that. Hearns, again, I see that whole offense regressing a little bit, so he's not going to score the 10 touchdowns that he did last year. I can see him for 6, 800 yards and 6 instead of 1,010. So that's still a good season. Wide receiver 3. Give me a couple of the running backs that are available.
Running backs available: Jonathan Stewart, Frank Gore, Melvin Gordon, Arian Foster, Matt Jones.
Okay.
Amir Abdullah, Charles Sims.
No, let's go back. Well, I don't mind Amir Abdullah, just not necessarily here. Melvin Gordon, I'd be okay with. I think he's really showing. Yeah, he's running angry. They're going to want to get him more involved in the offense. I've been afraid to take Danny Woodhead unless I can get him for great value. I got him in the 7th round of a 10-man, which was phenomenal. He went in the 3rd or 4th round in this mock draft. So I'm willing to. I'd be fine with going with Melvin Gordon simply because he is going to be the lead back And they're still, I mean, he still got 35 passes last year as the lead back and still missed, the last couple games. And
yeah, and they're looking to get him the ball more in the passing game to make him more well-rounded back. I like that pick as well. Kind of going with filling out an option for a flex in a running back position based off of matchup.
Right.
It's a very, very good value. And so we'll go with Melvin Gordon there, having drafted 3 receivers and then following it up by 3 running backs. The picks coming after a lot of quarterbacks taken, Drew Brees, Antonio Gates, Russell Wilson, Matt Jones, John Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, Ben Roethlisberger, Carson Palmer, Tyler Eifert, Eli Manning, Alan Hearns, and Dwayne Allen. And so let me take a look at the tight ends. We have Gary Barnidge, Julius Thomas, Martellus Bennett, Jason Witten, and Eric Ebron. I like Zach Miller, but I still think it's way too early to take him at this point. Tell me what you're thinking about the Fantasy Pros is telling us to draft quarterback, but that's a mistake. No. It's early still.
We'll probably get like a C- or a D for this draft simply because
obviously
Pros doesn't like you take their draft wizard doesn't like you taking picks that they haven't suggested. So,
and any trained monkey can sit here and click the top suggestion and get an A on this. So
draft, yeah. So going that, I'm fine to. We're gonna wait on quarterback. You and me, our 2 sleepers for quarterback this year are Tyrod Taylor and Matthew
Stafford. Still on the board.
Yeah, and they're still probably, most teams are probably going to already have their quarterbacks by the time those 2 are available.
Yep.
So, in terms of tight end, yeah, there's been a bunch of them going off the board. I'm fine to wait. Zach Miller would be an okay option late. I'm not totally thrilled with the Chicago offense, but that would be one route I'm willing to go. You can always stream tight ends, especially if you're getting great value everywhere else. So I'm willing to wait. I don't necessarily feel like we have to take Gary Barnidge here.
Okay.
So let's, going with the same pattern I did in my last draft. Let's, what are the wide receivers? What are the running backs?
Michael Crabtree is available. Deshaun Jackson, Devontae Parker, Josh Gordon, a possibility here, having us already fill out our starting lineup.
How far? Okay, so just saying, how far down is Josh Gordon? We're in the 7th round?
We are in the 7th round.
Okay. I'd be willing to take a little bit more of a safety valve in Michael Crabtree.
Okay.
Or maybe if there's another, maybe go with the running backs once more and see if Josh Gordon falls to us in the 8th.
Okay, Arian Foster is available. Frank Gore, Jonathan Stewart, Amir Abdullah, Charles Sims.
Well, because the PPR, Charles Sims is still available. I like the Charles Sims. We could probably wait, 1, maybe 2 more rounds, depending.
Yeah.
I'd be, Amir Abdullah is going to be the lead back there. Theo Riddick is going to get a lot of catches. They want Amir Abdullah to be the lead back to get, a lot of people are calling him a post-type sleeper as well. With who's available, I'd be fine to go Crabtree here and see what we've got next.
I would like to go Crabtree because I would hate to go with someone like Arian Foster or Amir Abdullah in this spot and then look to try and get a receiver in the next one and then hope to try and get Charles Sims. So I'd rather get a solid receiver now. And so I like Crabtree there as well.
Okay.
And then we cross our fingers and hope for the best. I really like our roster so far. And so far, yep, he fell to us. So, Tom, more quarterbacks came. So, as of right now, we are the only team without a quarterback.
I like
Tom Brady, Blake Bortles, and Derek Carr are gone. Devontae Parker is gone. Julius Thomas is the last pick of the 7th round. Deshaun Jackson, Theo Riddick, Amir Abdullah, Arian Foster, and Frank Gore. I think this is falling out perfect for us for how this has gone in that Josh Gordon is available. He would be our 5th wide receiver, so I am perfectly fine taking him. If it doesn't work out, fine. He was the 5th wide receiver on our roster.
We've got 6 bench spots, so we can stash him and hold him and wait to see
exactly. And so I don't feel that there's much of a conversation at this point. I would really love to get Charles Sims in the next round personally.
Look at the other. Who are the other running backs? Name like 2-3 other running backs along with Charles Sims.
Jonathan Stewart, Rashad Jennings, T.J. Yeldon are some of the, Chris Ivory, Bilal Powell.
Yes, there is PPR gold down there waiting for us if we go ahead and take Josh Gordon here.
The other receivers I do want to mention just at this point is just because I know a ton of people are really high on Sterling Shepard and Willie Snead. I still like Josh Gordon's upside as an established receiver, and all indications are that he will be back at least at something like a 90% level. I don't, as much as I love Sterling Shepard, I don't want to take a rookie over a veteran like Josh Gordon. And Willie Snead being the number 2. When Josh Gordon comes back, he's going to be the number 1.
Well, and here's the best way to look at it. At this point, we've got solid starters for PPR through our wide receivers and our running backs. We're now in round number 8, I want to say.
Yep.
At this point, we're starting to get to the point where we know we can take a quarterback later and get the quarterbacks that we want.
Yes.
We can get a tight end that we think will be able to fill the role as necessary.
Yep.
A little bit later, that have the upside. At this point, you take massive upside. And right now, that is Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon is the massive upside in terms of wide receiver. And if we can get someone like Charles Sims to fall to us in the next round, I absolutely love it. So we may not fall, but I'm fine to go ahead and take Josh Gordon right here.
And something happened that I have never seen in my life, an entire round of running backs. Basically, the 4 picks ahead of us and the 8 picks after us
already
went running back. And so Rashard Jennings, Jonathan Stewart, Charles Sims did get off the board. D'Angelo Williams, LeGarrette Blount, Chris Ivory, T.J. Yeldon, Justin Forsett, Gary Barnidge is off the board. Bilal Powell, Kevin White, and Corey Coleman are all off the board. Sterling Shepard and Willie Snead are available still. I want to take a look at the running back situation.
I have a feeling that Derrick Henry and Isaiah Crowell are both available, aren't they?
They are, with James White still being listed on here as someone to take just because I don't think it's been updated. Jay Ajayi, Derrick Henry, and Isaiah Crowell. I personally want to grab Derrick Henry because of the handcuff.
And at this point, they both look like they're going to have a role, and so since we're not going to be starting them both at the same time. But
no,
if something happens to DeMarco, we know we've got an absolute workhorse of a back.
Yep, and we have to me the best handcuff to get.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. For me, it's either him or Charles Sims are the 2 really big handcuffs.
Well, a lot of people are going to say D'Angelo Williams, but I like Derrick Henry more because he's going to be involved throughout the season, not just be the backup that will do a serviceable job afterwards.
And again, that's the same thing that with Charles Sims. He's the receiving back and can also do some running. If Doug Martin goes down, he is the guy. So, I'm okay with Derrick Henry here, and then maybe see if we'll kind of see where it goes after that.
Just to let everybody know who's listening, we are still the only team that has yet to take a quarterback, and we are still the only team that has yet to take a tight end. I love being in this position personally because no one's going to take a second quarterback and a second wide receiver before you take your first. So in this range, you can wait a round or 2 or 3 and still see no one come off the board.
And we're still picking up massive upside with a lot of these guys. So, I'm totally fine with how we're drafting right now.
I really want this draft. If I could carbon copy this and play with this draft in the season, I would love it. And so Isaiah Crowell came right afterwards. And so a going trend with our running back picks is when we're wavering between the two, the other one's going right after.
Yep.
And so Isaiah Crowell, Sterling Shepard goes as the ninth pick of the ninth round, which is the lowest I've seen him in the last week or two. Jay Ajayi, Torrey Smith, Kamar Aiken, James White, Shane Vereen, Tavon Austin, Tevin Coleman, and Kristen Michael are all off the board. Available running backs, you have Darren Sproles, DeAndre Washington, Jerick McKinnon. The receivers available, once again, Willie Snead's still available, which is a shock to me.
Just amazing.
Stephon Diggs, who neither one of us really want to take because of the situation there in Minnesota. Vincent Jackson sitting there as well. The available tight ends, a tight end I have taken in a couple of drafts is Martellus Bennett.
Available.
Say that again?
Vincent Jackson still being available is just mind-boggling as well.
I don't get it either. There are people who don't believe that he will have any sort of semblance of a year like he's had in the past. He's the number 2 receiver in an offense that will be vastly improved, yet still had a quarterback that threw for 4,000 yards last year. So if he threw for 4,000 yards and they're going to be improved this year, what is that going to tell you about the upside of his draftability and his draft stock? Martellus Bennett, if we're looking to go tight end here, Martellus Bennett, Jason Witten, Eric Ebron are available. I like Martellus Bennett not only for the fact that I think the Patriots are going to run a double tight end scenario this year, but also with Gronk's injury capability, he's a great quote-unquote handcuff tight end available. I like him here. I don't think he'll slip another round. I mean, he may. In most other drafts, he wouldn't. If we're looking at going quarterback here, this is kind of when we start to look at quarterbacks. Phillip Rivers, Tyrod Taylor, Kirk Cousins, and Matthew Stafford are available. Tell me what you're thinking at this point.
Well, in terms of tight end, personally, I more am towards Eric Ebron. I think he's more likely to be the big breakout at tight end this year. Simply with Megatron gone, him and Marvin Jones are going to be the 2 taller targets to use in the end zone when they're getting down towards the red zone and actually want to pass the ball. So I mean, I'm leaning more towards Ebron in terms of tight end. I think we can still wait one more round to get the quarterback that we want. Phillip Rivers is still there. He's another guy that I'm totally fine taking this late. Yeah,
Phillip Rivers, Tyrod Taylor, and Matthew Stafford and Jameis Winston, all 4 quarterbacks I like, are not all going to be taken.
No, so I mean,
in this round.
You know, if we go tight end here with Eric Ebron, or you like Martellus Bennett, my thing about Martellus Bennett, yeah, he would be a handcuff sort of to Rob Gronkowski. They're going to use 2 tight end sets. I still think that Bennett is going to be very tight end or very touchdown dependent. We don't know. Here's the deal, especially with the first 4 weeks, we don't know how that 2 tight end set's going to work with Jimmy Garoppolo.
True.
Now, when Tom Brady comes back in week 5, okay, then I can see the 2 tight end sets really working out. Brady being able to kind of split things up. But if it's just Garoppolo as a quarterback, that shies me away from Martellus Bennett. Plus, if you look at how Martellus Bennett has done when he is the only tight end in his career, his Septembers and through mid-October are awesome. Mid-October through the rest of the season, he's like a tight end 3. So, I mean, he disappears at the end.
He doesn't like the cold weather.
He disappears at the end of the season. So, Eric Ebron, I mean, I personally would rather have Eric Ebron, those 2.
We'll go there. I haven't yet had the opportunity to draft him in a draft, so and more of that's because I've taken tight ends more around the 8-9. But let's go ahead and take Ebron. I'm secretly hoping that Matthew Stafford falls to us, which I do believe will happen.
Same here.
Because he was listed as your breakout quarterback.
It's a sleeper pick.
So sleeper pick, but really with some great upside. I picked Tyrod Taylor just for the simple fact that he sat on 50% of free agent wires in most leagues almost all season, which doesn't make any sense. And I believe that they're going to be a little bit better this year on the offense as long as Sammy Watkins can stay healthy. The picks that went after Eric Ebron, DeAndre Washington, Darren Sproles, Chris Thompson. The Denver Broncos defense, Willie Snead finally goes off at 10-11, which is insane.
Wow.
Jerick McKinnon, Stephon Diggs, Martellus Bennett, Deion Lewis, the Seattle Seahawks, Jimmy Graham, and Jason Witten. So our quarterback that we both like is still available. I think we go quarterback here, having 2 bench spots, defense and a kicker still left to pick. Fantasy Pros tells us go Phillip Rivers, but there's a lot of shakiness and injuries within the wide receiver core that I'm a little hesitant on. I believe Matthew Stafford's going to be throwing the ball over 600 times, and that volume that's there, they're going to be throwing the ball. So,
and here's the deal: Rivers threw the ball more times than Stafford did last year. They both throw the ball a lot. They're, the Chargers are going to lean a little more towards the run with having Melvin Gordon and how well he's played. I simply think in terms of the passing game, I think that Stafford has more weapons.
yes.
If you look at Stafford, he's got Golden Tate, he's got Marvin Jones, he's got Theo Riddick and Amir Abdul, who can both catch the ball out of the backfield. And then at tight end, he's got Eric Ebron, who's still somewhat unproven, but is on. A lot of people believe he's on the verge of the breakout, which is why we took him. If you look at Phillip Rivers, he's got Keenan Allen, who last year got injured halfway through the season. While it was a bit of a freak injury, and this, it's still something to worry about just a little bit. His number 2 is Travis Benjamin, who could have a very good year. He got almost right around 1,000 yards, I think a little under with Cleveland last year. So, I mean, he's their number 2 with Gates as their tight end. It could go either way. For me, I prefer Stafford.
Yep. So we will pick Stafford. We want to get through these next couple of picks rather quickly, just because, one, I don't think there's much thought that should really go into
once we've gotten to this
the last 3 picks. At this point, we stream a defense, we stream a kicker, and we pick 2 guys that we think will have insane upside, and we will have no problem dropping off the waiver wire. And so after Matthew Stafford, Devin Funchess, Travis Benjamin, Javorius Allen, Charles Clay, Jared Cook, Mohamed Sanu, Laquan Treadwell, Jameis Winston, the Cardinals defense, and Zach Miller, an individual that I like as kind of a second tight end if that's what you're looking at doing. The available running backs, CJ Prosise, Kenneth Dixon, Spencer Ware, James Starks, Devontae Booker, I think is an outside shot, is a great kind of handcuff behind CJ Anderson at Denver. Available wide receivers, Vincent Jackson is still available. I think just for the fact that he's still available, that should be our pick. But Marcus Wheaton, Steve Smith, Michael Thomas are available as well. And Tyler Boyd, someone you're really high on at Cincinnati, is available as well. What are you thinking about in this pick?
I mean, if we're looking at full upside, let's go. How many wide receivers and how many running backs do we have?
We have 1, 2, 3. We have 4 running backs. Or wait, hang on. 1, 2. Yeah, 4 running backs, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 receivers.
Wide receivers. Only 4 of them which are eligible for the first 4 weeks. So, I'm fine to not take a backup quarterback. Again, that can be streamed.
Yes.
There's going to be quarterbacks who will be usable mid-season, and someone may break out and have a great, start building up to a great year that we could pick up off the waivers if we need to. Same with tight end.
Yeah, the other thing to be aware of is, with us having Mike Evans, is the Buccaneers offense proficient enough for us to take the number 1 and number 2 receiver?
if we were to have Vincent Jackson, we wouldn't necessarily be, since we have Evans, we can skip on Jackson. Maybe keep him on our watch list. I think he'll get taken in either this round or the next one.
Yep.
So looking at due to the amount of turnover in running backs, the pick I am looking at right here is Spencer Ware.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go.
Yeah, if you've got Jamal Charles coming off his second ACL, he's still not completely ready. There was an article that came out about he's not taken over the all over back yet. It's kind of that was kind of overstated. He's going to be there. He's going to be fine. So I'm willing to take Spencer Ware.
So Spencer Ware's the pick. Marcus Wheaton, Devontae Booker, Ladarius Green, CJ Prosise, CJ Spiller, Phillip Rivers, Carolina Panthers defense, Tyrod Taylor, Michael Thomas, Vincent Jackson, Sammy Coates, and Jordan Howard came off the board. With us having that running back, are we looking at picking up another running back, another receiver? I really like because, once again, because of the turnover in Cincinnati and the fact that they've got a quarterback that can throw the ball in Andy Dalton, I think there's just too many passes out there that Tyler Boyd can pick up. He's a great receiver. I think Tyler Boyd's upside makes him who we should take. I like his upside above Pierre Garçon, Dorial Green-Beckham, or any of the other receivers. I'd like Steve Smith had it not been for the fact that he's coming back from a massive injury.
A shredded chicken Achilles tendon?
Yeah.
Described.
Yeah. And so I like Tyler Boyd. There is Tajay Sharp there. If you like the upside of the Tennessee offense, I'll let you pick this one.
At this point, I would go Tyler Boyd. They're going to be a little bit more of a pass-heavy offense. So
okay. Tyler Boyd is the pick. And now we're looking at defenses or kickers as it's loading in here. Kirk Cousins, Kenneth Dixon, Terrence West, Charcantric West. A lot of repeat CJ, and then West picks have happened today. But James Starks, New England, the Texans, Pittsburgh, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, the Los Angeles Rams.
All right,
are we looking kicker, or are we not looking at kicker? Are we looking to stream defense and kicker? What's kind of your –
At this point, or do we only have kicker and defense left, or is there still –
Kicker and defense is all we got.
All right. So at this point, which kickers are available? Not that it really matters, but which kickers are available?
All of them. I mean, Gostkowski, Hauska, Tucker, Cancero.
If we're down to our last two picks, if Gostkowski is available, take Gostkowski.
Okay, that was very simple.
That was the same rule of thumb I took in my last draft. It's Gostkowski was available with my second to last pick. Everyone still needs kickers, so yeah, I'm taking.
I really wanted to have. I've been drafting the Vikings defense a lot. I really like them as a defense, and so we'll take a look at the defenses that are available. You don't really get too worried about defenses because you normally stream.
I base everything off of the matchup. So
this is who we got. So New York Jets, Green Bay Packers, Buffalo Bills, Oakland Raiders. These are the defenses we have. I'm not too high on any of these. I mean, the Jets maybe. I think the Packers will be improved. I think Buffalo is kind of a wash. I think they will not be as good as they were last year. Who do you like kind of here in this last pick?
Well, give me just 1 second here.
Yeah, I'm looking at who has what the first week's schedule.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was looking up too.
That's where I'm going.
I mean, if I remember right, I don't think. Yeah, see, I don't have it on here. So
the Bills are playing the Ravens, who are going to have kind of a muddled offense because of the merry-go-round at the running back position. Packers playing the Jaguars. I don't like that matchup. Let's see. The Raiders are playing the Saints.
No, I don't like that just because I think they're playing in New Orleans or are they playing?
They're playing in New Orleans. I don't like that at all.
Yes, I don't like that. So, obviously we're over analyzing this. You really don't need to. Here, let me look at it one more time. So yeah, honestly, when it comes to streaming defenses, I have no problem taking.
What if we go with the Titans defense because they're going to be playing a team that's only going to run the ball,
and their run defense isn't terrible.
Their pass defense was horrible.
Yeah, it's their pass defense that's god awful.
That is the 30th ranked defense, just so you know.
Yeah, but if I remember right, their projected points for the week are actually pretty good. Cleveland's going up against Philadelphia, so I mean that's I'm not high on Philly's defense, on Philly's offense.
You know what? I think based off of how we felt this offseason, I'm really high on the Browns this year. I personally, this side note has nothing to do with fantasy, but I would love to see the Cleveland Browns face the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
It won't happen, but yeah, that would be kind of cool.
It will not happen, but it would be what I'm rooting for. And then obviously I'm rooting for the Seahawks, and hopefully the crushing blow to the Cleveland Browns is not too crushing in my imaginary world. But let's just pick the Cleveland Browns just because Philadelphia's
just for the fun of it
is going to be horrible. I'm not a believer in Ryan Matthews, and they have literally no one in the receiver core to pick up any sort of catches. And so that's kind of our draft. Once again, as it's loading here, we got a D+. Yeah. I kind of love getting the worst grade I can possibly get, yet still loving my draft. And so once again, as a quick wrap up, from top to bottom, Matthew Stafford, quarterback, DeMarco Murray and Jeremy Hill is our starting running backs. DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans is starting receivers. Eric Ebron, starting tight end. Our flex of Jarvis Landry. Jarvis, I can never pronounce his name correctly. Defense, Cleveland Browns. Kicker, Stephen Gostkowski was a huge plus. But our bench, Melvin Gordon, Michael Crabtree, Josh Gordon, Derrick Henry, Spencer Ware, Tyler Boyd. I am feeling on cloud nine. Obviously, you do not win your league with the draft, but this is pretty dang close.
This is setting a good foundation to see what may happen throughout the rest of the season with the with waivers and everything. So
I really like that draft. We hope you guys enjoyed this show. As we wrap up, once again, please check out Vox DFS Firelines, our sponsored partner who brought this show to you today. Once again, we'd love to see you for the next show. I'm Justin. Ryan has joined us, and you have watched the Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast. Check this out next time.
All right. See you guys later.